I am so excited today to be driving to the Cash family farm. It's Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month here in March. And this is an opportunity for us to celebrate people of all abilities, to be able to see the Cash family, to learn about their faith, to learn about Johnny Cash and this wonderful landscape, this farm where Johnny lived, where he wrote inspirational songs about people, God's people, to share his story to people not just in this nation but across the country. I can't wait to meet the Cash family, to learn about their history, their faith, and to learn about their stories, but especially to learn about Johnny Cash.
The thing that has really hit us with this home, we had already purchased Mama Cash House in Hendersonville, so that's how we started learning more about Johnny Cash. And then we heard he had owned a farm, so we contacted Tommy Cash, Johnny's brother, and asked if the farm was available, or because Tommy himself has been a realtor. And we just fell in love with the nature and the peacefulness of the property. And the more we heard about the stories and just this area, the name Bon Aqua, the town Bon Aqua, just really resonated with us as we thought about the spiritual significance of that. We would love to see this place become a place for real spiritual healing, because there's a lot of woundedness, a lot of pain that people are going through. And we found that the few years that we were open as a museum, and people would go down to the museum, and Mark Cash would tell his stories of his struggles and addictions and where he's at in his journey now. A lot of people have been touched by that. And so that's our dream, that this would be a place of restoration and healing for people when they come on the property. The log cabin part of the house was built in 1837 by the Weems family. And they developed this whole area. They're the ones that developed the Bon Aqua Springs Hotel just down the road. And so we're sitting in one of the rooms from the 1837 cabin. For Johnny, this was a dining room at different times, and it had some of the kitchen cabinets in here. You'll see some of the cabinets behind me. They are the original cabinets that were here when Johnny had it the whole time. And he didn't, because this was just his getaway, he didn't do a lot of renovations to it. It just, was just a basic cabin. So in the original log cabin, there were 2 rooms and a dog trot in between. So when you come in the front door, that was the dog trot space. And a lot of times in olden days, there weren't doors on either end. It was just like a breezeway. Upstairs are 2 bedrooms, and in one of the bedrooms when Johnny had it, it was just lined with twin beds for all the daughters, because Johnny and June had 6 daughters. And so this was the place that the girls could come and have one-on-one time with their dad and really get to know their dad, because they were raised in California with their mom, Vivian. Upstairs, right above us, was the room that Johnny used for his security guard and his wife. When he brought the kids, they came out too. And then behind us is the addition, the kitchen that you see behind, and all the way down to Johnny's bedroom. That was added in the early 1900s, around 1930s. So it's like it was when Johnny had it. His bedroom was at the end of the hall. But previous to that, that had been the kitchen. So this room has had, this house has had a lot of different variations to it.
What's your favorite part of the house? Like, if you had to name one part that's most significant or important?
My favorite part is the little porch at the top upstairs. That's a great place for a morning cup of coffee and to listen to the birds. But I think the living room, I spent a lot of time in the living room, and we were told by the caretaker that Johnny would sit at the front right-hand side window and look out the window there and shell his peanuts and crack his black walnuts on the metal thing around the fireplace that's in that room. And so that was a favorite spot for him too. Now the library is the only room that Johnny added after he got the property. It was just a lean-to shed when he got it. And because he was an avid reader, he had a local man build the library for him. It's full of shelves and a lot of books. Some of the paperbacks that are in there are ones that family members had left here, as well as some of the old VHS tapes. But And the kitchen is got a lot of the original knotty pine cabinets and the same sink, so nothing's been refurbished on that. When we bought the house, the foundation needed a lot of work, so we did have to get under the house to strengthen it, the foundation, and the electrical all needed to be changed. So, but for the most part, the layout is as it was when Johnny had it. And you'll notice in the window in this room, there's some old glass bottles. And Johnny and his daughter Cindy love metal detecting. So they've done a lot of digging around this property and found a lot of interesting things. Cindy will tell you more about that. But those are bottles she brought back to the farmhouse that she said they'd been sitting in the window all the years that her dad had it.
Wow, sir, this is an amazing car. Could you tell me a little bit about what this car is and what it means to you?
Well, it's a Cadillac. It was owned by Johnny Cash and sat in his museum for almost 20 years, and he's driven it many times. It's a story about a guy that works at a General Motors plant. He loves these cars. They're going up and, past them, but he can't afford it. So he concocts a plan to steal the parts over like 20 years. And then with a vision someday of putting it all together, and he would have a one-of-a-kind.
So one piece at a time, he took it off.
That's right. Yes. It's a great story.
Yeah.
And also the song One Piece at a Time was a #1 hit song. I believe it may have been his last #1 hit song. Very popular because it's the little guy going against the big General Motors and finding a way to get this car. Now, we're not recommending stealing parts, okay? That's not the point, but it's a beautiful, fun song.
It's a great car. I mean, when I look at this car and I think about the song, we've got 2 headlights and 1 headlight. We've got different seats.
Right.
So it's like literally 20 years of Cadillacs.
And a little CB to say, I'm coming home to dinner,
To think that Johnny Cash sat in this car too, right?
Oh yeah. In fact, you go to, you can find him on the internet, him driving this and singing songs and all sorts of things.
Wow, it's just really amazing. It's an honor to be here with you in this car and listening to these stories. It's just amazing.
Well, you want to drive it?
I sure do. I'd love to give this thing a spin.
Okay, let's go.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. Really excited to have this music concert tonight, so please come in and join me with Cindy and Mark Allen and Joanne as we have some great music.
On what? Yeah.
You're going to open up with introduction? You're going to start answering?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a little bit of the Cash family. This is, I'm Cindy Cash. I am Johnny's daughter from his first wife, Vivian. My name is Cindy Cash. This is my cousin, Mark Cash, and he belongs to my Uncle Tommy, who is my dad's little brother.
Baby
and
brother.
This is the baby girl, Aunt Joanne.
No, I'm the queen.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's the queen. I'm the princess. She's the queen. No. This is Joanne Yates. This is Dad's baby sister. And that's what he called her, baby.
He called me baby, yes.
He sure did.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's sing a song.
Hey,
Yes,
that sounds
let's
like a
do.
good idea.
Yeah.
Cindy, you're great. You're good with modern technology. Let's see.
No.
Oh Lord, my God,
When
I
in
awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, and I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Somebody take that verse.
When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation to take me home, what joy will fill my heart. Then I will bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Sing it, Mark.
Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art, and how great thou art, how great thou art.
Ooh, I feel the Spirit of the Lord.
Oh man, great.
Amen.
You guys sing so good. You really do.
I love it, love it, love it. That's a worship song. Worship,
It is.
Worship the
That
Lord
is-
song.
Absolutely. Above my head in the ceiling here, there's 6 bullet holes. You want to talk about
Really?
that? Yes.
Where? Oh,
Right there.
Where, Mark?
Right above me, right here.
Right
There's
there.
6 bullet holes.
Okay.
Dad bought me a pistol that day, a Ruger 22, and took me out in the field and taught me how to shoot. Excuse me. And that night, he was sitting right over there. The TV was here, and I was on the couch over there. And he was fiddling with his gun, looking at it, and I was playing with mine. And he said, "Let's see what you learned today." I said, "It's dark outside." And he said, "No, right here." And he shot a hole in the ceiling.
Oh, my goodness.
And I said, "Dad, what are you doing?" He said, "Now, see how close you can come to my bullet hole."
Oh, my goodness.
So I shot a hole in the ceiling next to his bullet hole. And he said, "Now let's see who can shoot the straightest line." And we emptied our guns right there,
You
and
sure did. Yeah.
and I won.
Yeah. Of course, there was nobody here but them. There was nobody
Yeah, he
upstairs.
said, "Now don't you tell June next time she's here. Don't you show her that." Well, she noticed it, and she's like, she's in here going, "John, honey, what are those little holes up there?" He looked at me and said, "I don't know. Do you, Cindy?" I said, "No, sir." No, I don't.
But you know,
It was a
Uncle
lot of
Johnny,
fun.
Uncle Johnny could type. You know, he told me when he would come out here sometimes, he would just walk through the woods back there by himself for a couple of hours.
Yep.
And just sit on a stump and just gather his thoughts.
And you know, he could pick out an arrowhead within 3 minutes.
Really? Yeah, he could. He knew a lot about nature, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
But you know, it must have been, I know, but I went to a couple of his shows with him throughout the years, and I know y'all did too. You traveled with him for quite a while.
In 27 years.
Wow. And you know, he, to come off stage and to be that much of an icon and sign autographs and have to deal with what he had to deal with, this was an excellent place to come get his head back together, you know.
I mean, we wouldn't even have pulled in all the way in the driveway before he'd say, June, I'm going to the farm.
Yeah.
And she knew that she'd be staying at the house in Hendersonville, and he'd be gone within 5 minutes.
Wow.
Sometimes he'd say, Cindy, drive me. And I knew I'd be staying the weekend.
Yeah, you come off stage after thousands of people in the audience, and you know, to come be yourself again, or not yourself, but you know what I mean. It's difficult. That transition is not easy.
He told me one time that if he didn't have this place, he would have probably died.
Yeah.
That's how much this place meant to him.
Well, you know, everybody needs a place.
Yes, they do.
Everybody needs a place to relax and empty out and take in.
And
take
get
in,
in
take in
touch.
God. Take in God.
Absolutely.
It's the most important thing in our lives. And as I've gotten older, the most important thing is to be sure that God is in your life.
Right.
We live in a crazy world, and
Yes.
we don't even have to go into that. We all know. But it's all predicted in the Bible, and but the most important thing, I believe in his life. I know him. I know about that part in his life.
That part.
The God part.
Right. Oh,
in
yeah.
his life.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yes. He was my mentor, my teacher, my
Yes.
Bible teacher. I asked him every question I had on the bus, that's all I would do is ask him question after question after question. And his
loved
answers, he loved it. And his answers were always unpredictable.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
like one time I said, Dad, do you believe that there's other life out there? And he said, well, it'd be awful arrogant of us to think we're the only ones here.
Yeah, and he's right. He's right.
Oh, there he is.
And I thought, wow, I mean, what an answer.
But you know, he could walk outside and be out there 30 minutes and come back in and grab a piece of paper and he's written a song.
Yep.
You know, it was unbelievable. And he did that on a song called Flesh and Blood.
Yep.
You want to help me sing it?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right.
We're all flesh and blood.
We are. Cash blood.
Beside a singing mountain stream where willow grew, where silver leaves of maple sparkled in the morning dew, I braided twigs of willow, made a string of black-eyed beads. But flesh and blood needs flesh and blood, and you're the one I need. Flesh and blood needs flesh and blood, and you're the one I need. Good. I leaned against a bark of birch and I breathed the honeydew. Saw a northbound flock of geese against a sky of baby blue. Beside the lily pads I carved a whistle from a reed. Mother Nature's quite a lady, but you're the one I need. Flesh and blood needs flesh and blood, and you're the one I need. A cardinal sang just for me, and I thanked him for the song. The sun went down slowly down the west, and I had to move along. And these are some of the things in which my mind and spirit feed. But flesh and blood needs flesh and blood, you're the one I need. Flesh and blood needs flesh and blood, and you're the one I need. So when the day was over, I was still not satisfied. For everything I knew I'd touched would wither up and die. And love is all that will remain and grow from all these seeds. Mother Nature's quite a lady, but you're the one I need. Flesh and blood needs flesh and blood, you're the one I need. Good job, you guys.
We
need to
done
go
good,
on the road
didn't we?
with that. You know, that's good. Y'all sing. I do too. That's one of my favorites. And you know, I went to visit him one day at the Hendersonville house, and he was sitting there drinking coffee and reading a book. And he loved to sit, remember, in that kitchen area, you know, with his son. And he said, "Are you still writing songs?" And I said, "No, sir, not really." I said, he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I put you on, or turn on the radio and I hear you and the songs that you've written. I mean," I said, "You want to hear one of mine?" I said, "It goes like this. I went to the store to buy some milk. They were out. So I sat in the parking lot sad, no doubt." You know, and I said, and then I listened to Flesh and Blood. And I said, and I said, I just put the guitar down. He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "I've got 50 songs upstairs hidden in a trunk that you'll never see. They're really bad. They're worse than your milk song." He said, "You just keep writing. You get better and better and better as you go." He said, "You're going to write some songs you wouldn't play for anybody."
Mark, sing
You know?
Uncle Johnny.
All right.
Oh, please
He
do.
wrote a song about Dad called Uncle Johnny. It's a true story about him. Sorry. It's a true story about him. Dad and him ended up at Grandma and Grandpa's house one evening, and they stepped outside, and this is a true story, and I love this song. I think he did such a great job. I mean, songs like that, Uncle Johnny, usually turn out hokey, and this song is absolutely just beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you.
Was that the night Grandma passed?
No, it wasn't.
No, that wasn't.
That was another really memorable night. But this was Grandma Cash. She asked me. I came in one day with Dad, and she said, "I want to talk to you." She pulled me aside and she said, "I want you to go in the studio, and I'm going to pay for it. I don't want you to pay for it, and I just want you to take your guitar only, just your guitar, and I want you to sing Amazing Grace, and put it on a cassette tape and bring it to me." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I'll do that." So I did. And I went into the studio, and I just made a guitar, and I won't do it, but I said, "Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me." And I sang the whole song. We might do that, but and I brought it to her on a cassette tape, and she played it for everybody that walked through the door. And the paper boy he had to listen to it, I mean, everybody. And they got a glass of tea, that sweet, sweet tea that she always had.
Oh, I know it. She put a lot of sugar
You
in
make
it.
it just like Grandpa.
Oh, yeah, right.
It took me a long time to figure it out.
And so, I said, "Grandma, don't do that." And she said, "Mark, I love to share that song with people." So Uncle Johnny came in a few weeks later, and we were in the kitchen, and he kept looking at me, and he finally said, "Come here, Mark, I want to talk to you." We went outside, and we leaned against Grandma's car. You remember that Chevrolet that she had?
Oh, the Impala.
Right, the Impala.
That's all she'd drive.
He said, "First of all,"
Maniac.
he said, "I've got a couple of things I want to tell you if you'll listen." And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "First of all, thank you for doing that for Grandma." He said, "We need to do what she asked." And he said, "I want to thank you for following through and doing that." He said, "You're singing from the heart, and that's exactly what you have to do." He said, "If it comes from here, it's no good, Mark." He said, "It's got to come from the heart. If you sing from the heart, you can't go wrong."
Yeah.
And I said, "Thank you so much." I said, "But I think some people like me." Oh, I keep hitting that microphone. The sound man is going to kill me. I said, "I think people like me sometimes just because of who you are. They just want to see what Johnny Cash's nephew looks like." I said, "It's really tough to be in this business and be your nephew. You know that?" And he said, "You want to try to be Johnny Cash?" I said, "No, I do not. You do that very well. You would wear those shoes. Nobody else could wear them, And so I went home and I wrote Uncle Johnny.
It's an awesome song.
The house was filled with friends and family. We stepped outside to get away. He leaned beside me on the fender of Mama Cash's Chevrolet. He asked me, "How's your music coming? And ain't it great to stand on stage? It's the only time I'm truly happy. I get to sing my cares away." I said, "Sometimes I think folks like me just because of who you are. Do you know how hard it is to be the nephew to a superstar? The evening air had cut right through us as he turned to me and asked, have you ever once considered how hard it is to be Johnny Cash? To millions he's a superstar, a legend among men, a man in black for all the world to see. I'm glad I got the chance to call him a friend, more than any superstar could be. He was Uncle Johnny to me. Now life for any of us, it ain't easy, and it don't matter who we are. And I'd been just as proud to know that man if he'd never been a star. To millions he's a superstar, a legend among men, a man in black for all the world to see. I'm glad I got the chance to call him a friend, but more than any superstar could be, he was Uncle Johnny to me. Oh, we miss you, Uncle Johnny.
That was wonderful, Mark.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Wow.
You know, Dad took that song away from me. I played it for him, and it had a cassette. Remember cassette tapes?
Yeah.
And he took it away from me, and I said, Dad, that's my only copy. He said, I'm going to see my brother tomorrow, and I'm going to play it for him. And I said, but Dad, and he said, you're not getting it back. So he went over to Uncle Johnny's the next day. They were talking some business. They had an appointment type thing, and Dad said, before I leave, I want to play you something, a song. And Uncle Johnny said, I don't feel like hearing any music today, Tommy. He said, let's just do it some other time. And Dad said, sure, that's fine. So when Dad got ready to leave, they got to the door, and he said, would you want to play me? And it sounds just like him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And Dad said, well, it's a song Mark wrote about you. And it's a song Mark wrote about you. And Uncle Johnny said, June. And they put it on. And they listened to it. And Dad said he didn't say a word. He said, I looked up at my brother, and he had a big tear coming down his cheek. And that was my approval. That's all I
that's
needed.
Wonderful.
That's all I needed, you know.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
You did it in such a way that it's so tastefully
It
done.
gave honor to him.
Oh, thank you.
And it's so tastefully done. It's not, you know,
It's not hokey.
It's not that's the word I was going to use.
Mm-hmm. And it was difficult to be Johnny Cash. I mean, I was around him, you know, enough to see that.
His life for nothing.
No, you know what I did when I was 13 years old, Aunt Joanne?
There's no telling, Mark.
I know it. I went down to visit Uncle Johnny. We were at Grandma's, and I walked down the hill and knocked on the door. It had a big knocker on it. Remember that big thing? And Aunt June came to the door. She said, hi, Mark, darling, you here to see your uncle? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, he's in there right there at that table. I went in, and I said, Uncle Johnny, hi. I said, there's 3 buses out there.
Oh, gosh.
And I told him that I'd get you to come out and say hi to them. and
And at that time, he wanted to get his gun.
Right. He said, you didn't do that. And I said, yes, sir. He said, Mark, I can't do that. He said, if I go out there, those people, number one, will never get back on the bus. And he said, I'll have to go greet every bus that comes down that hill because it's only fair. So I can't do it. I have to do all of them or none of them, and I can't do that. And I said, yes, sir, I understand. I'll tell him. And I turned around, and now that I'm older, excuse me. I mean, he's going to kill me. I know he is. Now that I'm older, I know that what he knew I was going to be embarrassed and to go up there and tell them he can't come out. He said, Mark, I'm going to go up there one time with you and don't do this again. And we walked up the driveway, and I was pointing at him, and they were cheering, and camera lights were going off everywhere. And he said, I'm going to stay as long as you'll get back on the bus when the driver asks you to. And he talked to him and signed autographs. And when the driver, when they held up their arms like this, Uncle Johnny said, he's asking you to get on the bus, and they did. They got on that bus just as quick as they could. They listened to him, I'll never forget that.
I got one more story.
Sure.
We were still living on the farm. That's a long time ago in Arkansas. And it's when John first started becoming really popular, and he was having shows everywhere. So
And you were still in Dias?
Yeah, this was just before we moved away from Dice. And he said, he said, baby, you want to go with me to a show? I said, yeah, where we're going. So I got in the car with him, and we drove to Jonesboro, okay, which is about an hour and a half, something like that.
Right.
And when we got on the way over there, he said, now there's going to be a guy come out in front of the show. And I was green and a kid, and I said, what's fronting the show? He said, that's when a guy comes out and gets the crowd going, and then they bring the star out. I said, well, who's the star? He said, well, that's me. I said, what? What? So we got over there, and that young man that fronted the show was Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be
And
darned. Wow.
so when he come off the stage and John went on, I went back and talked to Elvis an hour.
Did you really?
And it Johnny had a word or two for me on the way back home. Yeah.
Was Elvis nice to you?
Oh, he was wonderful.
He was a gentleman, wasn't he?
Elvis, besides my husband, Elvis was probably the most naturally handsome man I have ever met in my life.
On and off camera, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
my
right.
goodness.
He held me when I was 6 weeks old, but I just can't remember.
You can't remember that, can you?
My mom and dad went to his mother's funeral, and Mom said he would not quit crying. And
Yeah.
Dad was the only person that could talk to him and make him quit crying.
Yeah.
And then she had just had me. I was 2 weeks old, and she had to run into the bathroom, and she said she just handed me to Elvis. And she said that was another time he quit crying, was holding me.
Yeah.
No.
The miracle of a baby. Wow. Well, that's good stories.
Yeah.
Those are good stories. When we were kids, we had to walk about a fourth of a mile to catch the bus from the house. Mm-hmm. And on the way home from school one day, it was raining so hard that it was raining sideways.
And you guys
the
were
wind-
barefoot, probably.
Well, we were on the school bus.
Oh.
We were getting off at our bus stop to walk that fourth of a mile to the house.
Right.
And I was probably in the first grade. And he said, well, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And I thought, how can he take care of the rain? To this day, I don't know where he got that umbrella.
You don't know what?
I don't know where he got that umbrella.
Oh.
Because back then, you don't understand, Cindy. Back then, you just didn't have things
An umbrella.
like that.
I know it.
So what he did when we got off of the bus was hold that umbrella over Reba and Tommy and me, and he took the rain.
Oh.
I'll never forget that.
Wow.
You know what he told me one time, and this I know will bring a memory to you. I was sitting at the bar in his kitchen eating breakfast, and he come over to me and he goes, "Baby, do you want a little sugar on your biscuit?" And I said, "Huh? Sugar on my biscuit?" And he goes, "Well, when I was a little boy, we didn't have apples and things like that to make jam and jelly." He said, "So my mama would always say, 'JR, would you like a little sugar on your biscuit?'" And that was our jams and jellies.
He did that to me.
And I went, wow, we take so much for granted.
We do.
And I made sure I've told my grandson and my daughter these stories, so they know how lucky they are.
Yeah, my dad, Tommy, was the baby of you guys, the last one born. And his legal name was Alfred Ronald Cash.
Louise named him that.
Did she really?
Yes.
So in 1968, he had it changed legally to Tommy because they called him Tom anyway, right?
All
Angela?
his life.
I don't think I ever told you this. I found Dad's manuals from when he was in the Air Force, and his name was just J.R. Cash.
Yes.
And so they said, "You can't come in the Air Force without
right.
a name." He said, "Okay, I'll be
middle
John
name.
R. Cash." That's how he got the name John, and my mom christened him Johnny. And but I was looking at his manual, just kind of going through them, and I saw J.R. Cash, John R. Cash, Reuben Cash. He was practicing writing what he was going to name himself.
Wow.
And I thought, Reuben Cash, thank God he didn't name himself Reuben. But that was really strange because when he was 18 years old, he said John. That's how he named himself.
I know a little bit more about that story.
I bet you do.
When Johnny was born, Daddy wanted to name him Ray.
Reuben. Oh,
Ray.
Ray. And Grandma wanted to name him Reuben.
No, Grandma wanted to name him John after Grandpa Rivers, John Rivers.
Oh.
And they couldn't decide, so they named him J.R.
See, Dad has it wrong.
See, Mama won.
That's right.
Mama always
He was
won.
just JR till he was 18.
Yes, I called him J.R. all of my
All the
growing up
family
life.
still
Yeah.
calls him JR when they talk about
Yeah.
him.
But he taught Dad how to swim, you know. Dad
Oh, yeah, he did.
He'd take Dad down to the Tyronza River
Tyronza River it does.
and teach him how to swim. And
Throw him in?
Well, yeah, what Dad said, I thought he'd put me in slowly and let me, get used to it and bob and put something. And he said he threw me off the bridge. And Dad said, I learned how to swim quick when I got out of the bag.
That's a good way. That's a good way to kill somebody.
I'm telling you. Oh. At my...
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
You're
Phil.
ready, aren't you? At my door the leaves are falling. A cold wild wind still comes. Sweethearts walk by together, and I still miss someone. We go out on a party and look for a little fun, but I find a darkened corner, 'cause I still miss someone. Oh, I never got over those blue eyes. I see them everywhere, and I miss those arms that held me when all the love was there. And I wonder if she's sorry for leaving what we'd begun. There's someone for me somewhere, and I still miss someone. Da 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 da. Someone. I did my own ending,
Very
didn't I?
good, guys. Wow, that's neat.
That was fun singing with you.
Huh?
That was fun singing with
Well,
you.
thank you. Thank you. It was fun singing with you. We got cash blood in us.
That's right.
You know, Aunt Reba said one time she was upset, when John passed.
Yeah.
And I was over at her house, and she said, "You know what they can't take?" I said, "What, Reba?" She said, "Cash blood." I said, "Okay." Reba was very different sometimes.
She was.
She was funny.
And the thing I loved about Aunt Reba was don't ask her a question if you didn't want to hear the truth. I'm telling you.
Aunt Reba was another sister.
Right. And she
Yeah,
worked
she
at
was
the House of
sister.
Cash for a long time. And but when Uncle Johnny died, a friend of mine called me the next day and he said, "Have you seen The Far Side?" which was a cartoon in the newspaper. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And I said, "No, I haven't seen it." He said, "Go buy the paper and call me back." So I did. And I opened up the paper, and there was The Far Side. There was a man in black with a black guitar standing at the pearly gates. And the person behind the gate said, "I'm sorry, we don't let people in here dressed all in black with a black guitar, but come on in, Mr. Cash." I thought that was perfect for him, wasn't it?
There was another cartoon in the paper the day after he passed, and he was standing inside the pearly gates with his guitar, and the St. Peter was yelling, "Angel, bring Mr. Cash a white robe."
Bring Mr. Cash what?
A white robe. That's great. That only in Cash Dow. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, no.
How about Daddy sang bass?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
Is he okay? Let's see. I remember when I was a lad,
Times were hard and things were bad. There's a silver lining behind every cloud. Just for people that's all we were, trying to make a living out of black lantern. We'd get together in a family circle singing loud.
Daddy sang bass.
Mama sang tenor.
Me and little brother we joined right in there. Sing to help a troubled soul. One of these days, and it won't be long,
I'll rejoin him in a song. Gonna join the family circle at the throne.
Oh no, the circle
Circle won't be broken. By and by, Lord, by and by.
Daddy sang bass.
Mama sang tenor.
Me and little brother we
We'll
joined right
in there in the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the sky, Lord, in the sky. That's it, y'all. That's it.
Fantastic.
Well, Cindy and Mark, thanks for being here today. This has been wonderful to listen to your stories and the music today. And I just wanted to say thank you from everybody at Bethesda. Bethesda is an organization that takes care of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, people with autism and Down syndrome across the country. And you're going to make so many people happy with the beautiful music and stories that you had about your dad and your uncle. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you. We're honored to be here. We're honored to do this for you. And it's, great people, great team of people you have.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for giving us a chance.
Yeah, thank you. I also want to say thanks for service. Mark, your service in the Coast Guard, and Cindy, your dad's service in the Air Force. I'm an Air Force veteran too, and something I have in common with your dad a little bit, but thank you for what he did for the country, not just in his singing and mission, but his service to country and nation to you too, sir. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. One of the things I learned about you two and Joanne, your Aunt Joanne today, is there's a lot of love in this family, and I could feel that love today amongst the three of you. And in the faith, and what faith means to you. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about your faith, your personal walk, what it was like with Johnny, his walk, and what that meant to you today.
As everybody knows, I think that one big reason for Johnny Cash's success was his honesty. When he messed up, he admitted it and tried, and he told his fans, I'm going to try to do better. And he didn't try to hide it and tell stories about it, And, he truly tried to walk with God as strong as he could. And he believed in the Bible. He believed in God, and very strong Christian. And I think that's helped him a lot, of course, in his personal life, was Billy Graham and Johnny were close friends.
Right.
And, they counseled each other. I didn't. Billy Graham told me that. I said, "Thank you for counseling Uncle Johnny." He said, "No, he counsels me as well." So, can you imagine? But it's my walk has gotten so strong. I have the addiction of alcohol and drug addiction, and I have my whole life since I was 14. And if it wasn't for God and my faith, I don't think I'd be here today. I know I wouldn't. And so I think he's got a purpose for me somewhere, somehow, and I just have to be quiet and do what he says. Listen.
I think we all do.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And he had a great library too, right? He was an avid reader, from
Yes,
what I
he
understood.
loved to read. And the last 3 months of his life, I moved in with him. And I had just gotten married, and I told my husband, I said, "I'm sorry, I have to be with my dad. I'm the only one that doesn't have small children, and I'm the closest to him." So I moved in with him, and I wouldn't trade anything for those
I
last
bet
3
not.
months.
Yeah, that's special, I bet. Anything else you'd like to share with us today? People with disabilities out there today who are watching this, who are inspired by your stories, your dad, your uncle, your dad. Anything else that you'd like to share that could be inspiring to people
I just
today?
remember Dad telling me, when you get to heaven, you're going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be perfect. You're going to be at that age where you were just perfect. There's going to be no pain. If you're blind, you'll see. If you're deaf, you'll hear.
You know,
Thank you, sir.
there's a saying that has rang so true with me that I wished I would have put into practice years ago. But this too shall pass. It's so true. And then when I find myself and I have, this year has been a rough year for everybody. I think everybody has suffered at some area.
Absolutely.
And, this too shall pass. And I keep that, and I pray a lot, and I just try to do the next right thing when I'm in a situation, and it works. And I've learned that if you'll be still, God will take care of.
God will take care of
Yes,
you.
He will. Yes,
Talk
He
to you.
will. That's right.
Be
That's right.
still and listen.
Yep. Listening's important, isn't it? Being patient. And
Yes.
sometimes we got to be a little bit more patient than we want.
Right.
One of the things that we really believe in our organization, which is what I really appreciate about you two and your Aunt Joanne and Johnny, is it's about salvation to people. And the people that we support and take care of, it's not about intelligence. It's not about an IQ. It's about their belief and their belief in Jesus. And getting into that place where Johnny's at today.
Wow.
And getting where your family's at. And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing
Thank
this
you.
with people today.
Thank you for
And
giving us the chance to do this.
Absolutely. Blessings of both you and your family.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so
God
much.
bless you.
Been a while now since we've seen you, but your memory's still clear. Sometimes we sit and talk about old times, back when you were here. So many things have changed since you've been gone. Oh, but one thing stays the same.
This was truly an amazing day.
In our hearts,
A day of meeting new friends, a day of learning about the history of the Cash family, a day of meeting Brian and Sally Oxley and the wonderful mission work that they do to spread God's mission across the world. Thank you for this opportunity today. Thank you for this wonderful history. And the music. The music was just amazing. To hear Joanne and Mark and Cindy, to hear the Cash family, flesh and blood, to be here today and to celebrate with them the memory of Johnny Cash. To walk in the same building and the same grounds, to see the same creek and the same trees. What an amazing experience. I'm so grateful. Grateful for the Cash family, grateful for the Oxleys, and grateful for Bethesda, for the work that we do to celebrate people with developmental disabilities across the world. Thank you for such a wonderful day today.